Welcome back to Paper Expressions video. Our project today is going to be pumpkins. I'm going to be showing several ways to create pumpkins using, well, your scraps, because I know how you stampers and you scrapbookers always generate scraps. So our first pumpkin is going to be made using the scallop circle punch, and as you can see, I just took a piece of scrap, all torn and ragged, and I punched out 3 circles, and then I took the chocolate chip and I just inked up the edges just a little bit like this. And we go all the way around, and I did 3 of them, and you can see them, they're here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little adhesive on the back of one of them, and I'm going to just lay them over like this, and then I'm going to lay the top one until it looks like it's about balanced, and then as I press down, it will make the bottom 2 adhere to each other. Now I'm going to take this one, and what I've done is that I put 3 dimensionals. I get the dimensionals off, and I'm just going to center that over the other one, and that starts up our first pumpkin. Now I'm going to take a little tiny scrap of the chocolate chip grosgrain ribbon, and I've put a little adhesive on it, and I'm just going to stick that right in the middle. If you can see that, just so it sticks up like a little stem, and I'm just going to press that so that it stays. And then I took the sizzlet, the little leaf sizzlet, in Always Artichoke, and I punched out some leaves, and I put some a little adhesive on that, and I'm just going to adhere them down, and I'm going to stick them up like this, and that just makes the basis for our pumpkin. Now, to show you what that could look like on a finished project, that's what it might look like, and this is just simply layered up on the Autumn Traditions, layered with the Always Artichoke, and then of course you can put whatever card fronts you want. Now this pumpkin, you can also do that same one. You could use this wide oval and it'd make a tall skinny one, or you could also use the scallop oval and you can make this same basic idea for this pumpkin. So that's our first pumpkin. Our next project is made using the small and the large oval punches, and I'll show you how we did that. I started with 3 of the small, and I just took a scrap and I just punched them out together, and if you get them really close, it's okay because you're going to hide 2 of them anyway. And I inked the edges up with the Really Rust Classic ink and my trusty sponge, and I did that. And I'm going to take this one and I'm going to turn it over so that you can see what the back looks like all assembled, and I'm going to zoom in here, and you can see that these 2 outside ones are just tilted slightly out from each other, and then I put the adhesive on the center one and then just stuck them down, and so the finished pumpkin looks like this. Now I made the stem using old olive cardstock and the 5-petaled punch. Now this is the way I did this. So here's the 5-petaled punch, and I turned it upside down, and I take a piece of just a scrap of old olive, and I just kind of work it down in just, I don't know, somewhere where it looks sort of decent, and I just punched a piece, and you can see that it's kind of, if I can get my fat fingers out of here, you can see it's kind of curved the way a pumpkin stem ought to be. Then I just put some adhesive on that, and you can see then I just stuck it down, and that's what that finished pumpkin looks like. Now, going back to our first project, you could layer this down, and it kind of disappears on this particular one, but you can see that's a pretty good idea. Okay, now let's go to the large ones. I take 2 of the large ovals and inked up the edges again with the classic ink, and I put adhesive on the 3rd one. You can see it sticks to my finger, and I'm just going to tilt those. I'm going to tilt those just a little bit like that, and then I'm going to just place that right down in the center like that, and I'm going to push it, and then that makes the basic for the pumpkin. Now, on the stem for this one, again, this time I'm going to use the word window punch, and again the old olive. What I do is I slide this in at an angle so that I get kind of a cut off piece of the pumpkin. And you can see that that's kind of at an angle, and if you want to take your snips or whatever and change that, that's good too. I'm going to take my adhesive, just put a little adhesive on that, slide him under, tip him off to the side just a little bit to wherever it looks good, and there's your large pumpkin. And you can take these two, and you could put the large one on here, and you could put the small one on here, and you can even hook those two together. You can put them up. You know, I'm just looking for your ideas. I know the way I would put them on, but that's it for our second project. Okay, this project is going to use the pumpkin number 4 Sizzlet, and of course our Big Shot. Now, here's what the finished project looks like. See that cute little pumpkin there? What I did is that I cut one of the Sizzlets out of the Only Orange, and I had to trim it because what I wanted to do is I wanted to make the stem out of Close to Cocoa, but we'll show how to do that here. So, we take a scrap. You can see here's one I've used. Let's just put it here on the Big Shot, on the Sizzlet. We put the cover up, and we just run that through, and we try not to move our whole project, and they'll snap sometimes, and that's okay. So, there's our little pumpkin. It's all cut out. Alright, so let's take this and put this out of our way. Now what I do is I take my snips, and I'm just going to snip off that stem, because that's the part that we're going to put up with the, and here's the stem that I've done, and what I've done is I've just trimmed this a little bit here and a little bit here. So I'm just going to put some adhesive on that. Then just going to match. I'm going to match him up to where I think the stem ought to be, and I just squeeze them together, and there's that cute little pumpkin. And if I were going to use that same layering that we used, you can see that's another cute little pumpkin that you can use for your projects. And remember, this is an excellent use of your scraps. Now this pumpkin set is made using the Pumpkin Patch stamp set, and what we've done is we're going to stamp this on the Naturals Ivory cardstock, and we've layered this on basic black onto the pumpkin pie, and of course you can see on this card, and we're not going to go that far. I'm just going to use the layering. So let me put that aside. Now what I did is I pre-stamped the background. So we've got the two big pumpkins here, and we've got the grass, and we've got the little stems and the curlicues and the vines coming off of that. And you'll see that I've stamped one lone stem out there, and that's for the pumpkin that's layered up on top. So let me show you how to do the one that's layered up on top. I'm going to take a piece of Naturals Ivory, and I'm going to take the pumpkin pie, and I'm going to stamp that right there. And you can see that that's pretty good. And I'm going to take his face, and you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. And you know, if he's off-centered, who cares? So, take the punch, and this is the 1 1/4 inch circle punch, and we just center our pumpkin right up in that guy like that. And then we punch him out, and there he is. And of course I always stamp on the cardstock first and then punch, because that way I can get him pretty well centered. I'm going to turn him upside down. I'm going to put a dimensional on the back side of him. And I'm actually going to put 2, if I can get the dimensionals off. And the reason I use 2 is because it just helps him stand off a little better. So there he is, and you can see the dimensionals. Let's pull my card over. And all I'm going to do is just kind of center him up to where the stem just kind of pokes out through the top. Can you see that? Alright, there he is. And then of course now we can just layer him down, and if we really wanted to do this I could re-ink him again because he's a little lighter. But that's the nice thing, is that all pumpkins aren't exactly the same.